Welcome to Amazon and Co Folktale. Here is the story. The elders say a village is not held together by mud walls or by fences of thorny acacia, but by the breath of its people, shared hopes, shared fears, shared courage. This story begins in the highlands where morning mist lay thick over the ridges and evening fires shone like scattered embers across the valley. It was there, in the village of Kuko, that a boy named Damina discovered a truth larger than strength, louder than roar, deeper than night itself. Damina was not the strongest child in Kuko. He was not the tallest, nor the fastest, nor the most favored by the elders. His hands were quick but thin, his shoulders narrow, and when the boys wrestled in the dust after chores, he was often knocked down, though he always got up again. What set him apart was his voice. He carried a tone so clear that even the wind paused to listen. People said he had been born with a song resting in his throat. But in Kuko, songs were not considered strength, not the kind the villagers valued. Strength was the weight of a hunter's spear, the endurance of farmers, the endurance to walk miles for firewood. A song was good for festivals, weddings, and the naming of children, but it did not keep danger from a village. Damina knew this, yet he still sang. Every dawn, he walked to the edge of the eastern ridge, where a great fig tree stretched its old branches toward the rising sun. There, he sang, sometimes to the birds, sometimes to the sleeping valley, sometimes just to himself. The notes brought him peace. His mother, Lumi, encouraged him. "Your voice is a gift," she always said. "Gifts are not accidents." His father, Galadima, a broad-shouldered hunter whose name meant the spear that never misses, only nodded in polite silence whenever Lumi spoke that way. He had no quarrel with singing, but in his eyes, it was not a shield, not a spear, not a way to protect a home. One dry season, when winds carried dust like fine smoke, whispers spread through the highlands. Travelers who passed near Kuko spoke of an approaching shadow, a thing without shape but heavy enough to bend trees, loud enough to shake roofs, silent enough to steal breath. Some called it a wandering curse, others said it was a monster of old returning to claim forgotten land. Galadima did not believe in rumor. "Fear grows faster than any weed," he told Lumi and Damina. "Until I see danger with my eyes, I prepare but I do not tremble." Still, the village grew uneasy. Children were told to stay near home. Hunters sharpened their spears more often than usual. Women stored grains tightly, and elders met long into the night beneath the shade of the council hut. Then the cattle began to vanish. One by one, goats and cows disappeared from their pens without sound or tracks. Hunters searched the bush and found nothing, no struggle, no blood, no footprints. Only emptiness. Fear deepened. When Kuko's oldest elder, Buzu, gathered the village, his voice was frail yet steady. "Something moves in the valley," he said. "It steals what we hold dear. We must be prepared." "Do we know what it is?" someone asked. "No," Buzu said. "But it grows bolder." The villagers murmured. Damina felt a prickle at his spine, but he held his mother's hand and tried not to show fear. That night, for the first time, he did not go to the fig tree to sing at dawn. Days passed, and the shadow finally revealed itself. It came at dusk, when the sky bled orange and the wind died. It entered Kuko without footsteps, without warning. A rolling wave of darkness moved between the houses, swallowing light as if it were a living thing. People screamed and scattered. Spears were raised, but when the hunters attacked, their strikes passed through the shadow as if striking air. The stronger they fought, the more the shadow seemed to thicken. Damina hid behind his mother, watching the darkness swirl like smoke and water intertwined. It moved toward one of the houses and surrounded it. The family inside fled, stumbling into the night as the shadow fed on the structure. The hut collapsed, its clay walls dissolving into dust that swirled into the creature's clouded form. Galadima confronted it with his spear. "Turn away from my people," he roared. The shadow surged toward him with a force that sent him rolling across the ground, his spear breaking in half like a dry twig. Fear crushed the village. Nothing worked, not strength, not shouts, not fire. The shadow drifted toward the center of Kuko, stretching tendrils toward the council hut where the elders sheltered. Damina's heart pounded. He wanted to run, to hide, to cry. But his mother's earlier words echoed like a candle stubbornly refusing to go out. "Your voice is a gift. Gifts are not accidents." Damina swallowed hard. His legs trembled so much he thought he would fall. Yet something pushed him forward. He stepped away from his mother's arms. Lumi reached for him, startled. "Damina, come back." But the boy kept walking. He stopped in front of the shadow. It towered above him like a mountain of night. His voice trembled. Leave my village, he said. The shadow did not stop. Its tendrils curved toward him, calling like smoke and wind. Damaina closed his eyes. And then he sang. The first note was small, a trembling thread of sound, soft enough that only those closest heard it. But it was real. True. It carried every fear, every hope, every piece of his heart. The shadow paused. People froze. The wind held its breath. Damaina's voice grew stronger. It rose like a river breaking through stone. It filled the air, warm and piercing, carrying a strange power, not force, not fire, but clarity. The darkness recoiled as if the sound stung it. The villagers watched as the shadow shuddered. It thinned, edges unraveling like cloth being torn. Damaina sang louder. Words came without thought, nonsense syllables, melodies shaped by instinct, emotion, and something older than the hills. His song carried courage, not the courage of muscles or weapons, but the courage to stand in truth even when afraid. The shadow convulsed. It tried to push forward again, but each note drove it farther back. Galadima, bruised and breathless, stared in disbelief. Lomi covered her mouth with her hands. Elder Buzu whispered, the boy holds the light. Damaina took a step forward. The shadow leapt upward, trying to escape into the night sky, but the song rose with it, a bright ribbon cutting through darkness. The shadow twisted violently, shrunk into itself, then burst into 1,000 flecks of ash that scattered across the night like dying sparks. Silence fell. The shadow was gone. And Damaina collapsed. When he awoke, the sun was rising. He lay on a mat in his family's hut, his mother wiping his forehead gently. You're awake, she whispered, tears glistening on her cheeks. Galadima sat beside her, his large hand resting on Damaina's arm, trembling slightly. You saved us, he said, voice thick. I saw it with my own eyes. Strength failed us. Your voice, your courage, that is what protected Coco. Damaina tried to sit up, dizzy but smiling faintly. I was scared, he admitted. Lomi stroked his cheek. Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you walk through the fear anyway. Outside, villagers waited to see him. When he stepped out, they greeted him with cheers, songs, and praise. Children ran ahead chanting his name, women or related, hunters struck the ground with the butts of their spears. But the elders approached him last, moving with deliberate respect. Elder Buzu spoke. Damaina, your voice is no ordinary gift. The shadow was not just a creature, it was fear itself, a fear that fed on the strength of the strong. You defeated it with something different, something purer. He placed a hand on Damaina's shoulder. You are now the voice of Coco. Damaina flushed. He was just a boy. But the elders knelt before him, and the villagers followed. It felt wrong. No, Damaina said softly. I don't want anyone kneeling. They looked up at him. The boy's voice, though still gentle, carried firmness. I wasn't alone. I sang because I heard all of you behind me. I sang because my mother believed in me. Because my father stood to fight even when he was afraid. Because the elders never ran. I didn't face the shadow alone. We faced it together. The people listened in awe. The hunters nodded. Lomi's eyes filled with tears again, and Galadima's chest rose with pride. Elder Buzu smiled. Then we will stand, not before you, but beside you. From this day, your voice is the village's strength. Life in Coco changed. Damaina continued to sing from the ridge at dawn, but now the entire village often joined him. It became a new tradition, one voice beginning the song, many voices carrying it.